she is a worthy champion. She's the reigning champion. She's about to become champion once again here in Birmingham. Battocletti takes gold.
Nadia Battocletti stepped onto the track in Birmingham to defend her European 5,000-meter title. For most of the race, nothing about it looked special. Slow pace, tight pack, no fireworks. Then, with one lap left, everything changed. What she did in those final 400 meters is why people are still talking about this race. From the gun, this final was slow and cagey. Runners bunched together, nobody wanted to lead, and at times athletes were spilling out into the 4th and 5th lanes, just fighting for position. Nobody was racing the clock. Everybody was racing each other, saving their legs for one moment. That moment arrived on the last lap. Maureen Koster of the Netherlands, the fastest woman in Europe that season, had taken control at the front, trying to string the pack out and break the field apart. Down the back stretch, she was leading, with Britain's Hannah Nuttall right behind her. For a moment, it looked like her plan was working. Then, just before the 200-meter mark, Battocletti made her move. She had been sitting patiently through all that slow, cagey running, waiting for the exact right second. When she found it, she exploded past the leaders, and nobody could go with her. She covered that final lap in just 59.2 seconds. Her last 200 meters alone took only 28.2 seconds. That is the kind of closing speed you expect from a much shorter race, not the final stretch of a 5,000-meter final, after already covering more than 4.5 kilometers. Koster, who had done all that work at the front, paid the price. She faded all the way back to 6th place. Leading a championship race for that long takes a heavy toll, and once Battocletti attacked, Koster simply had nothing left to answer with. The only runner who could even come close to matching Battocletti's finishing speed was Marta Garcia of Spain. Garcia produced a strong closing effort of her own and crossed the line second, actually improving on her result from 2 years earlier, when she took bronze in that same event in Rome. This time she walked away with silver instead. Italy also grabbed a second medal in this race. Nicole Maggiore timed her own finish well and crossed the line in 3rd place, giving Italy 2 runners on the podium in the same event. After the race, Maggiore joined Battocletti for a victory lap together, celebrating side by side in front of the crowd. The final time on the clock read 15 minutes and 37.84 seconds. That's not a fast time by Battocletti's own standards. She holds the Italian national record in this event at 14 minutes and 23 seconds, more than a full minute quicker. But that gap is exactly the point. Nobody remembers this race for the overall time. They remember it for the way she closed it out. Now here's what makes that final lap even more remarkable. Battocletti almost didn't arrive in Birmingham looking anything like a champion. Just 2 months earlier, she finished a disappointing 13th place at a Diamond League race in Rome. For a runner of her caliber, that result raised eyebrows. Then things got worse. She had to pull out of another race in Monaco entirely. The reason was fatigue caused by anemia, a condition that drains energy and makes hard training brutally difficult. For an endurance athlete who depends on strength built over months of hard work, that kind of setback can derail an entire season. So when she stepped onto the track in Birmingham, real questions surrounded her. Was she healthy again? Was she actually ready to defend her title? Even people who follow the sport closely weren't sure what to expect. There was one bright spot earlier in the year. Back in February, she won gold in the 3,000 meters at the World Indoor Championships, a race she also closed out with a strong finishing kick. That result showed her sharpness was still there. But indoor racing over a shorter distance is a different challenge than a 5,000-meter final outdoors, and it didn't fully answer the questions hanging over her outdoor season, making things harder. She wasn't even the fastest woman in the field on paper. Koster had already beaten her once that season at a Diamond League meet in Rome and arrived in Birmingham with the best 5,000-meter time in Europe that year. This was not going to be a coronation. This was a legitimate fight, and Koster had the form to prove it. That's what makes the final lap hit so hard. A woman who had struggled with her health, who had been beaten already this season, who walked in as anything but a guaranteed favorite, produced one of the most dominant closing kicks you'll ever see in a championship final, and it's worth remembering how much championship experience she's already built at just 26 years old. In distance running, many athletes don't hit their absolute peak until their late 20s or even early 30s. If this is what she looks like now, still with room to grow, that alone should worry every rival on the European circuit for years to come. To understand why this moment carries so much weight, you have to go back 2 years, to Rome. At that European Championships, Battocletti did something almost nobody expected. She won gold in the 5,000 meters, and then came back to win gold in the 10,000 meters as well, completing a rare distance double at the same championships. She left Rome with a championship record in the 5,000, a mark that stood as the standard for the event. That double wasn't just a couple of good races. It turned her into the benchmark for European distance running. Every rival who lines up against her now knows exactly what she's capable of when she's at her best. And every doubt about her form, every rough result along the way, gets measured against that standard. Her rise didn't start in Rome either. She's been one of Italy's most decorated distance runners for years, with national titles stretching back to her teenage years and records across multiple distances on the track and the road. She also won silver in the 10,000 meters at the Paris Olympics, then followed that with silver and bronze medals at the World Championships in Tokyo the next year. Every time a major championship arrives, she tends to find her best form exactly when it counts. Which brings the story back to Birmingham and why this win matters even beyond the medal itself. By winning the 5,000 meters here, Battocletti became European champion in this event for a second consecutive championship. Back-to-back titles is no small thing in a sport where fields change and rivals rise every single year. It cements her place as the runner everyone else in Europe is chasing, not just for one season, but as an ongoing standard. And this victory wasn't the finish line for her at these championships either. It was step one. 2 years ago in Rome, winning the 5,000 meters was only half of her historic double. She followed it up days later by winning the 10,000 as well. With the 5,000 gold now secured in Birmingham, the door was open for her to chase that same kind of double performance again. This time on a different track, in front of a different crowd, but carrying the exact same ambition. That's really what separates good athletes from great ones. It's not just about running fast numbers on a clock. It's about showing up when the pressure is at its highest and delivering exactly when it matters most. Battocletti didn't win this race by being the fittest woman in the field on paper. She won it by being patient through a slow, messy, tactical battle, and then unleashing a finishing kick that nobody else in that field could match. This is also a pattern with her. Championship racing rewards patience and timing far more than raw fitness, and she has shown again and again that she understands this better than almost anyone else in the sport. Fast times on a clock during a regular season race are one thing. Reading a tactical race, staying calm through a slow pace, and picking the exact right moment to attack is a completely different skill.